After 8 long years, Concord is finally released. Now, we are going to be able to see if it is going to be able to stand up to the likes of Overwatch or Steam's new release, Deadlock. But only time will be able to tell if this game is able to succeed. Hey gang, it's been 24 hours since Concord actually released, and while I had assumed it was going to be dead on arrival, it is far worse than what I thought it was going to be. When it had come out, I had figured we'd see maybe something close to the open beta numbers, which weren't particularly good at like 2,000 peak. But to see this game not even be able to breach 700 people is truly astonishing. Now, normally when your game goes live, you have a very stressful weekend where you hear about any kind of bugs that pop up, and then you have to worry about coming in on Monday to fix them, or maybe you'll get a call over the weekend to say, oh, there's some kind of issue, you need to immediately fix something. But for this team, they were going to have the unfortunate Monday of coming in and all talking about how their game has failed and how they need to all start polishing their resumes, which they really should be doing. Because it's a live service game, it has already entered a death spiral where the audience at large knows this game's going to get shut down. People aren't playing the game, which means the game's going to be unable to run. They're just going to turn it off. So now nobody's going to be buying the game, even if they were somewhat interested. And even if they make it free to play, while it would piss off the 1,000 people that actually purchase the game, it's not going to drive interest. The characters are uninteresting. We've got Deadlock that's coming out soon from Steam, and it looks pretty good. The numbers are great. And people trust Steam, and they don't trust Concord. They don't trust Firewalk, PlayStation. It's doomed. And initially, I thought this had been under development for 7 years. The developer did confirm that it took 8 years to make. I did a video before on the estimated costs of the game that I put around somewhere close to $89 million to develop the game. But with that extra year of development, it easily surpasses that $100 million mark in development costs as a most conservative estimate. And this is not going to be able to recoup it ever. I don't see any universe in which this game makes a return on investment for PlayStation. And that estimated cost doesn't include marketing. I don't know marketing at all and how to estimate those costs. That's a specialty that I do not touch because there's a lot of sliminess in that space that I don't like to be around. But man, I feel bad for the team, at least some of the members of the team, because while it's everything that people would say they want for the modern audience, that modern audience just doesn't exist. If we look at just the past week, for example, Concord released, failed. Dustborn released, wasn't able to even break 100 concurrent users on Steam. And Acolyte got canceled after costing a metric shit ton to make. These are all things that are built for this mythical modern audience that just does not exist. And the more these studios that fail trying to pander to this non-existent audience, the better it is for the games industry. And the better it is for entertainment at large. It's just bad for business. It's bad for business when it's games. It's bad for business when it's film. It's bad for business when it's Harley Davidson or any other kind of business that's trying to pander to nonsense. You need to focus on your business and not focus on social justice. Because the moment you start focusing on social justice, you're getting away from the actual important part of your business, which is making money and serving your customers. Because once you stop doing that, you've lost sight of what you're supposed to do. And so many companies have lost sight of what they're supposed to do, and your average worker pays for it. It's bad business, and I don't respect people that do that. Now, Firewalk probably won't get let go immediately for prestige reasons for PlayStation. They've spent a lot of time and money doing this. They're probably going to want to pull every lever that they can to try and make at least a little more profit before they have to shut everything down. I don't know how they're handling the server hosting. I assume that Sony has infrastructure that's already laid out and paid for, where they don't have to worry about something like cloud costs. I recall Palworld had a huge issue when they came out and it was super popular, where their cloud bill skyrocketed because they had to scale everything up really fast. I don't foresee them having that issue at Sony, but the headcount is going to cost a fortune. I don't think they're going to be able to make it so that they're even break even on a month-to-month basis for the number of people they have. It's like over 100 people. It's going to cost them probably several $1 million a month in just overhead for paying everyone out and their benefits. And the numbers just don't support it. Even if they 10x it, going from 500 users to 5,000 users, that's still an abysmal failure. Now, some portions of the studio look really good. The 3D art actually looks pretty excellent, though the character design is garbage. It's terrible. The writers also pretty bad. As for the programmers, they're probably good. I assume there's a lot of really generally great engineers that work there because they were able to get it running decently well on PlayStation 5, at least from the little bit that I've seen. I haven't played it. I don't have any interest in playing it. I really came off where they were like, we don't want gamers. We need that modern audience. And that modern audience didn't show up, as usual. I do hope that the good folks find a job after this. And as for the bad folks, they need to treat this as a learning opportunity. They need to fix their mindset and realize that they need to keep their personal worldviews out of the business. For at least these big studios, if you want to go and do something really stupid or weird, you need to make it in a small studio, because that's fine. You want to take all the risks that you want and make whatever game you want to make in your small indie studio. I think that is fantastic. But as soon as you're some huge studio where a lot of people are counting on their livelihoods and their family being supported by that company, if you want to throw whatever shitty personal belief you have in there and insist that the whole world needs to pander to that existence, I go fuck a rake. I get out. You need to leave the industry. You need to grow up. I am personally biased because I work in games. And as far as I'm concerned, stability in the games industry is paramount, because it is important to me and it is important to support my family. And you get that stability by making games that are what your users want. You don't try and make up a market out of nowhere where you're like, oh, we just think that there are these people that like these things. You're pandering so many games these days to this microscopic number of people. And you insist that they're hiding and they're just scared of the modern gamers. And, oh, but Grums is going to bully them if they come out on Twitter and say that they want things, or that they treat Twitter, or they think Reddit's real, where it's like, oh, well, all the Reddit people are going to come play our game. No, they're not. People are going to talk shit online until the end of days. They're not going to come and show up and, make this huge, millions of users that buy this game for any of these games. They just suck ass. Everyone knows what kinds of games that we want. We want attractive looking characters. We want people to be cool. We want people to be cosplayable. You've got all these really easily cosplayable characters in Overwatch. Tons of Rule 34 on them. And you've got Concord, where it's like it's built for abstinence. They don't want anything to be sexualized because they're like, oh no, we don't want to objectify non-existent things. Like, these are characters that aren't real. You've got people online that treat 2D characters or characters in video games as if they're real people with rights. They're nothing. They don't exist. You can do whatever you want with them. You want to draw a female character with guy bits that's real and another girl character? Go for it. That's great. Put it up online. Throw it on your Twitter account. Might get banned on whatever subreddit you're going to because Reddit's a fucking joke, but whatever. Go for it. Who cares? I think it's great. But you need to build games that support the audience that you have. You need to make products that have a sustainable user base, and we know what those user bases are. And the more of these games like Concord and Dustborn fail, where everyone can objectively look at them and say this audience does not exist, the sooner we can have more investors and business people tell any kind of activists in their company to fuck off. And if they want to have some professor go in and say, oh no, you have to call me by my pronouns while I tell you how you have to have no sexy characters in your game, just fucking fire them. This isn't hard. The games are not super special. They are a business at the end of the day. I know there's a lot of people that like to treat games as if it's some super special thing. And once you get to a certain scale for these companies, it is not super special. It is a business. It is a company where you need to work collaboratively to make a product, and you need that product to work and sell in the market for you to stay in business. And if you can't do that, you go out of business. There are no special funds to pull things from. I guess if like you have a publisher that's willing to throw you a shit ton of money, it's a different story. But by and large, you just go out of business and you're fucked. I hope more investors will look at games like this and reject this bullshit so that we get more Wukongs and less of this woke shit that's just driving layoffs in the industry. I fucking hate it. The whole market hates it. And the more cool monkeys we get, the better we are as an industry. But that's all I got to say right now. Thanks for coming by. And sub for game-related content or not, whatever. Have a good night. Or whatever time of day it is for you. Farewell.